The flames rose faster than anyone expected. Columns that had stood for 2 centuries cracked and collapsed as fire tore through Persepolis, the ceremonial heart of the Persian Empire. This was not a battlefield. There were no enemies here. Only palaces, archives, and symbols of imperial memory. Alexander the Great, conqueror of Asia, watched as the city burned under his command. Ancient sources disagree on why it happened. Some say it was revenge, a drunken impulse, or political theater, but they agree on what followed. Almost immediately, Alexander tried to stop it. It was too late. What was meant to seal his victory instead became one of the most haunting decisions of his life. Persepolis was not a capital in the modern sense. It was a symbol. Built by Darius and expanded by Xerxes, it existed to project order, continuity, and divine kingship across the Persian world. Delegations from across the empire brought tribute here, carved forever into stone reliefs that still survive today. When Alexander entered Persepolis in 330 BCE, the city did not resist him. Its treasuries were seized, its officials dismissed, and its population largely spared. By every practical measure, the war was already won. Destroying Persepolis offered no military advantage. It was an ideological act, one that echoed the Persian burning of Greek cities a century earlier, and one Alexander knew would speak louder than any proclamation. The decision came during a celebration. Ancient writers describe a banquet filled with wine, music, and intoxication, held inside the Persian palaces themselves. According to several sources, a courtesan named Thais urged Alexander to burn Persepolis as revenge for the destruction of Athens decades earlier. Whether the idea was hers or already his, Alexander agreed. Torches were raised. The fire spread rapidly through cedar roofs and wooden beams, leaping from hall to hall. What began as a symbolic gesture turned uncontrollable. As the flames climbed higher, the mood shifted. Some accounts say Alexander suddenly realized what he had done and ordered the fire stopped. By then, Persepolis was already lost. By morning, the damage was undeniable. The palace complex was gutted, archives destroyed, and one of the ancient world's most important ceremonial centers reduced to ash. Ancient sources note a sharp change in Alexander's behavior. The celebrations ended. Orders were issued to preserve what remained. Soon after, Alexander adopted a new tone toward Persian elites. He retained Persian administrators, wore Persian dress, and presented himself not as a destroyer, but as a rightful successor to the great kings. The fire at Persepolis had gone too far, and it subtly changed the direction of Alexander's campaign. The rhetoric of revenge faded, replaced by consolidation and control. He no longer framed himself as the destroyer of Persia, but as its heir. Persian nobles were integrated into his court. Macedonian customs were blended and sometimes forced with Persian traditions. This shift confused and angered many of his own officers, who had followed him as a Greek avenger, not an Eastern king. Modern historians often point to Persepolis as the psychological turning point. The moment Alexander realized conquest alone was not enough. He had erased a symbol of an empire, and now had to build one of his own on the ashes of what he destroyed. Persepolis never recovered. Its ruins still stand today, frozen evidence of a decision made in a single night. Ancient historians struggled to explain it. Some blamed wine, others strategy, but none denied its weight. Alexander would go on to conquer more territory, but he never repeated an act like this again. The fire exposed a truth about power. Conquest can be instantaneous, but destruction is permanent. In trying to end Persia's story, Alexander permanently altered his own. His empire would outlive him only briefly, fractured by ambition and regret. History remembers his victories, but Persepolis reminds us how even the greatest rulers are undone by moments of impulse. Subscribe to Ancient Odyssey for stories where history reveals its sharpest lessons.